Hi kids, welcome back to another week's video. I've got an apology to make. Not a lot happening in this video. As I've been saying over the past 2 months, my schedule, work versus play, YouTube videos being play, is not very balanced at the moment. The work is through the roof. I'll give you an example. I went to bed this morning at 6:10 after pulling an all-nighter on the illustration. I've had a few hours sleep. I've been down to GP's again for more blood tests and stuff. I'm at that age where everything's falling off. I've actually got tennis elbow now, believe it or not. It's a weird tendon thing. That aside, I've been super busy. As I've said, I was hoping to do something like a video review of Zardoz, the Sean Connery film, or get back into Babylon 5, but either of those takes a lot of time out of my day to do, not just the watching it and the making notes and then recording and then editing. It does take a big chunk out of my day that I should be spending excuse me, on day job stuff, work stuff, etc. The plus side of having a lot of work on means I'm not struggling for money right now, which is great, but the trade-off is you don't have a lot of time. So, you know, I think most people can identify with that. Is time and money, and one encroaches on the other. I would rather have lots of time and just enough money to survive, rather than loads of money and no time. What I'm going to do this week is just talk about my current thoughts about the Supergirl movie that just came out. Now, admittedly, this is going to sound like someone who shouldn't have an opinion because I haven't seen the film. And I'm usually not the type to listen too much to critics. I would rather go and see a film myself if I'm interested in seeing it. Unfortunately, I'm not interested in seeing it. I have watched a number of critics, extreme ones and more moderate ones. One of my favorite critics is Dan Murrell, who's very, very balanced in his reviews. And I think that the reason I decided I'm not going to take a few hours, again, time and money, to go to the cinema to watch Supergirl is because when Supergirl made her appearance in the sort of end scene of the James Gunn's recent Superman movie with David Corenswet, she staggered in with a coat, hungover, whatever, you know, train wreck. And I know that's part of a comic line where she is this kind of messy, confused, disorganized type of Supergirl, but I don't want to see that in my superheroes. I want to see cool superheroes. I want to see fun, capable superheroes, not ones who are just barely holding it together. You know, there was a very famous run of Iron Man stories called Demon in a Bottle, where Tony Stark becomes an alcoholic. And they touched on it a little bit in Iron Man 2. They showed him partying a lot and getting drunk and that, which was kind of inspired by the Demon in a Bottle storyline. But I don't want to see a Demon in a Bottle movie about Iron Man. I'd rather see Iron Man 1, where he's kicking all kinds of ass. Same with anything, really. I want to see superheroes who are positive and powerful. David Corenswet's movie was almost there, but he wasn't very powerful. And I think the problem with overpowered superheroes like Superman, Supergirl, Captain Marvel, etc., is if they're overpowered, you've got to go to extremes to find a way to make the story interesting, because they can do anything. With Man of Steel, of course, they put him up against 3 Kryptonians who were easily capable of kicking him all around Metropolis. But after that, where do you go from there? And you probably have to do something with Lex Luthor or whatever. Anyway, when Supergirl came out on the TV show in the Arrowverse, played by Melissa Benoist, I was like, I don't know if this is going to be a show for me, but I kept watching it, and it was really good. It was fun and it was interesting, and I think the tone was right. Now, from what I've heard, the tone of the new Supergirl movie is all over the place. Even people who don't like the film have said Millie Alcock in the role of Kara is brilliant, which is good. Actors can only give their best, and apparently she did. But the script is a bit generic, a bit Guardians of the Galaxy, a bit boring, nothing really that makes it stand out as a Supergirl movie. Jason Momoa is in it for 5 minutes. You know, without him, the film wouldn't be any different. So that was a bit of fan service. And again, I'm not taking anything from you if you enjoyed the film. I know a lot of people have, spoken to me and said, I really enjoyed it. It's not as bad as you say, which is cool. And I've said that about lots of movies that people hate. I've said, I enjoyed it. I mean, goodness sake, I kind of enjoyed Morbius. And some people say, well, it doesn't matter what it makes at the box office. It doesn't matter what the Rotten Tomatoes score is. But what's important is whether you enjoy it or not, which is true to a certain extent. But I will say that if the Rotten Tomatoes scores are bad, the box office doesn't break even, and Supergirl opened at apparently a lower weekend than Morbius and The Flash, it doesn't bode well for future movies. What some people were surprised to me to find out yesterday, that James Gunn's contract for running the DCU is up in 2027. Now, of course, he may stay on. They may option him to carry on, but there has been a change of leadership in the DC world. In the who's the studio behind it all? Warner? Is it Warner? I think it is. And we've got a guy called David Ellison now in charge, and he may decide that DC Universe isn't working. I think that's unlikely, because Superman opened to a decent money and has made some decent money. The other James Gunn projects, Creature Commandos, Peacemaker, etc., all been doing quite well. But Supergirl may be a dud. And again, like I'm saying, if you've seen the film and you enjoyed it, you're not going to say it's not a dud. You're going to say, oh no, it's not a dud, it's decent. But when I say dud, I mean box office wise, because you spend a load of money on a film, you spend a load more money on marketing it, so you've got to earn all that back before you make a profit. Which is something I know a bit about, having made a film that's languishing in the red, and is probably never going to make its money back. So the thing with Supergirl is it's going to be seen as a flop for DC, and that may jeopardize what they do next. I don't think it's it's not a death toll ringing out for DC. It just means the next one had better be good. There are 2 big DC projects coming up right now. The next one is Lanterns, which is a TV series. It's R-rated, lots of F-bombs in it. And it tells about the 2 Green Lanterns, Hal Jordan, who's the main one most people know, and John Stewart on Earth. I'm going to give that a watch. Looking forward to that. I quite like Green Lantern. Even if the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern was a bit of a flop. So there's that, and there's also Clayface, which is going to be a DC Universe horror movie, because Clayface is a Batman villain who, as the name suggests, he's kind of made of clay and he can impersonate people and stuff, but this does look like very body horror. So it'll be interesting to see what that does. But I think the next big movie for DC is Man of Tomorrow, which they're shooting right now, which is the next Superman movie. James Gunn, I think, obviously directing that one. I hope it's an improvement on the first Superman film. I want to see Superman at full power. And again, I know I talked about being overpowered, but Superman needs to be powerful, and it needs to tell a good story, and it needs to have a good, something to fight against. When you think back to say, Brandon Routh's movie, Superman Returns, as Kevin Smith famously said, he doesn't throw up, he throws one punch in the entire movie, and that's the punch an island that he's lifting up. He doesn't really have anything to fight against too much. At least Henry Cavill, you know, had 3 Kryptonians to fight against, and Christopher Reeve had 3 Kryptonians to fight against, and things like that. I think Man of Tomorrow could and should build on the success of the first Superman film. But when you introduce Supergirl at the end of Superman looking like a train wreck, that's not really, that doesn't do it for me. You know, I may be in the minority, okay? But I want to see Supergirl being strong and proud and a role model for young girls or whatever who want to see, you know, a young female superhero on screen. Not, I'm just going to get drunk and party. And apparently, the first shot in the movie is Krypto urinating on a picture of Superman. Someone thought that was a good idea. How is that a good idea? Don't get me started on, oh, it's an arc. She starts off not caring and ends up caring. But from what I've read and seen in reviews, the thing is a mess. It's full of convenient things. As Ryan George would say, oh, it's going to be hard to do this. Actually, it's going to be super easy, barely an inconvenience. Oh, really? And there's lots of stuff like that. And again, I try not to listen to critics. I only check a handful of critics who I trust. And even the ones I trust, who are usually balanced and honest about the good and the bad in films, they've said Supergirl is a flop, and it's hardly, it's not unmissable, put it that way. So I don't know if I'm ever going to see it. I may catch it online at some point somehow. But look, my local cinema charges about £4 for a ticket, which is awesome. But I'm not going to sit there for 2 hours and spend £4 plus bus fare to get there on a film that I'm going to be looking at my watch going, no, I'm not feeling this. It's a shame. It's a shame. They should have opened up with another Batman movie. Literally, they should have just said, right, here's our new Batman, let's get on with it. That would guarantee them bringing some money in for DC. Admittedly, I'm more of a Marvel fan than DC. DC, when I was a kid growing up at least, felt a little bit too utopian. You know, you had Bruce Wayne, who is a multi-millionaire. Well, he's a billionaire nowadays, isn't he? Superman is an invincible alien. And those kind of, Wonder Woman is basically an Amazonian goddess. And again, it's a stark contrast from what Stan Lee wanted to do, was give superheroes with super problems. Daredevil's blind. Peter Parker lives with his Aunt May, who would die if she ever gets, finds out what he does. And he's got no money, and he can't get, he can't find love, and he's getting bullied, even though he could punch Flash Thompson's head off, he can't. He's got to keep his identity secret, and his Uncle Ben got killed because of his pride. The Hulk is basically Jekyll and Hyde. He's a monster who can't shake off the whole thing. And there are things like that. I just gravitated towards Marvel a bit more. That's not to say I don't like DC. I love Batman. I love most of what Superman does. Green Lantern's good. I still passionately want a Plastic Man movie. That could be their saving grace, man. There was talk about Jim Carrey being Plastic Man a long time ago. The script has been written by the Wachowskis, who did not long after they did The Matrix. And I remember reading that online at Drew's Scriptorama or whatever. And it's a great story. It's about a crook who does a bank job, and there's a chemical factory involved, and he gets sort of mixed with superglue and turns into Plastic Man. It takes him a long time to get himself back together. But this could be DC's answer to Ant-Man. Ant-Man had a lot of comedy in it. And, if they can get someone to play Plastic Man, he could be funny, but heroic at the same time. He wouldn't be a copy of Mr. Fantastic, for example, because Mr. Fantastic lives in a very serious Fantastic Four world. And let's not forget, Fantastic Four made a lot of money, but it didn't do particularly well compared to some of the previous Marvel movies. Some people have said there's superhero fatigue, where everyone's had enough of superhero films now. But I don't believe that. I think the people who are quoting superhero fatigue are the people who are feeling superhero fatigue. But when a good superhero movie comes out, it's fine. No one says superhero fatigue when a movie makes a lot of money. They won't be saying superhero fatigue when, Secret Wars or what's the next one? I can't remember. 2 Marvel movies coming out. Doomsday is next, sorry, then Secret Wars. And Spider-Man Brand New Day looks fantastic. I'm so stoked for that. Am I going to be as critical of that as I am of something like Supergirl? I don't think so, because the Spider-Man movies have been on point. Whoever's in charge, in the grand scheme of things, whether it's Kevin Feige or the directors or the writers or whatever, they seem to have hit the right tone. And from what I've heard, Supergirl, the tone is all wrong. Again, you may love Supergirl. Don't have a bash at me in the comments for not watching or trying to comment on something I haven't seen. I know how that sounds, but it doesn't excite me enough to want to go to cinema to see it. And I've only heard bad things. It's a bit like, well, I was going to compare it to a different franchise, but let's not get into that. Anyway, I've waffled for long enough. I apologize for a video of me just talking. But I will try and get back onto Babylon 5 and the Dalek build and so many other things that I need to crack on with. My other job is slowing down and coming to an end, so I will have a bit more time to come up here, build things, do show and tells, that kind of stuff. So in the meantime, bear with me. Thanks for all the latest subscribers. We are crawling past the 800 mark. It kind of fluctuates. It goes to 806, then back to 805, and up and down. At this rate, I did the maths, and I may get 1,000 subscribers in 4 years. But between you and me, I don't know if I'll still be doing this in 4 years. Sometimes you've got to, as you know, with me, I'm not averse to walking away from something if it's not working. In all areas of my life, if it feels like it's more trouble than it's worth, stop doing it. Life's too short to be hammering yourself over the head with when you don't need to be hammering yourself over the head, right? Call me a quitter. Fine. Just quit stuff that no longer brings you joy. That's what a lot of people. I think Marie Kondo said that. Just get shot of stuff that no longer sparks joy in your life. Anyway, I hope this video and my other videos are sparking a little bit of joy with you guys and girls. But if you've seen Supergirl, give me a reason. If you liked it, give me a reason that I should go watch it. If you agree with me that you can't be bothered to go watching it because it sounds like a mess, tell me I'm right. I just need to find out what other people think. But right now, it's not inspired me to go and do stuff. But we'll see. We'll see. Anyway, that's all for me this week. Again, hopefully more stuff on Saturday. I know not what yet, but I do have my recent Dalek cutaway video, which looks like that. I have built more stuff that you haven't seen on screen. And I want to start making the mutant that's going to be sitting inside it. So there could be some Milliput and some Sculpey going on there. I've got to start making a mutant. Should be fun. So tune in, dear viewer, and I may see you soon. Goodness me. I went to bed at 6 o'clock this morning. My brain is frazzled. Anyway, take care now. Bye-bye then. Computer!
Hi, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Terry Cooper's YouTube channel. unless you don't.